Progressive Christians are a huge source of conflict in the church, but there's good reason for it, and I'm here to explain why. Okay, first, I think it's important to walk through why I think progressive Christians are important, why they have a place. First, we have to acknowledge that man's interpretation of God's word is not 100% correct from the beginning. There is the truth, and there is what we think is true, right? So the mere existence of a discrepancy between what we know to be true and what is actually true implies that there is some revision of stances to be done, and that is progress, right? Progressiveness in general is about challenging the current norms, be it social, scientific, etc., and moving beyond what is discovered to be irrelevant or obsolete. Progressive Christianity is this spirit, but applied to Christianity. It's the spirit that says some of what we know about the Bible or about Christianity is probably wrong, right? And we need to figure out what it is and then correct it. This is useful because it helps us to refine our concepts of right and wrong, hopefully to have a clearer view of the truth. It's like a blacksmith hammering out the kinks in his metal. Sometimes it is the case that change needs to be done. I'll explain why progressive Christians are a huge source of conflict. Religious groups always have a conservative slant or conservative attitude. It's just the nature of a community that prioritizes things like tradition, loyalty, and conformity. This means that the general sentiment is that deviation from the norm is undesirable. Hence, when you try to apply the attitudes of progressiveness to a Christian system, you will inevitably face a large amount of opposition. It literally goes against the foundation of religion. But this is not without its merits. This opposition is not without its merits. Put yourself in the shoes of a conservative, and for a progressive it's difficult, but try. Put yourself in the shoes of a conservative who believes that the set of rules we have right now are timeless and unchangeable, as in, they are the truth, just as God's word should be, right? Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, so how can it change? If what we know in this present moment is the most accurate and stable version, how can you just want to change it, or revise it, or alter it? How can you dare to go against the truth? That's just falsehood. Going against the truth is falsehood, and it cannot be allowed to proliferate in the church like that. It would be heresy and disobedience. You would be punished by God for promoting falsehoods. So while progressives seek to change for the better, the conservatives believe that the now is better because it is more stable, because it's what we already know to be true. It's not a matter of ignorance, it's a matter of caution and wariness. And it is the case that when you want to change something about what God says, you have to proceed with extreme caution and wariness. Hence the case for conservative Christians. Now, here's what I have to say to both parties. First, a message to the conservative Christians. Take a look at the struggle that we've had over the last 1,000 years regarding truth. First, the origin of the universe. Once thought to be 7 days, now understood to be billions of years long because of science. And now we say that Genesis was actually metaphorical. 7 days aren't actually 7 24-hour days long, whereas last time it used to be, right? The origin of life, once thought to be snapped into existence at once by God, now understood to be evolved over thousands of years. Maybe not macroevolution, but microevolution. Was thought to be heresy last time, and now it's widely accepted. Slavery, right? Once acceptable, maybe not promoted by the Bible, but at least tolerable, right? And not condemned in the Bible. Now today is abolished and condemned. No Christian out there right now will tell you that slavery is okay. But it used to be the case that it was okay. Not promoted, but okay. Gender equality or women's rights, right? The Bible once silenced women in the church and disapproved of female pastors. Now it is widely renounced and female pastors are more prevalent around the church. Although some churches still dispute this, right? So it's a work in progress. Now these were all highly contested in the past, now ingrained in truth in society and theologically. There were conservatives and progressives on both sides of these issues in the past. If you, a conservative Christian, believe these things that I just said to be true, then you'd actually be considered a progressive heretic back in the past. right? In fact, Jesus himself was a progressive heretic to people like the Pharisees in his time. That's why they persecuted him. Yet now, his views are considered to be conventional and conservative. But now, I move on to the progressive Christians. We're currently fighting over questions of homosexuality, abortion, and gender expression, and you seek to overthrow the current understanding of what is acceptable in God's eyes regarding those things. Fine, that is up to debate. But just as I implore the conservatives to take a look at the past, I implore you to take a look at the future. What are your thoughts on things like bestiality and pedophilia? Does it make your stomach turn and your heart wrench? Would you strongly condemn such acts and oppose them just as the Bible does, and even say that the Bible does oppose them? Well then, just imagine 100 years from now that these two things are exactly what is being challenged. That is how the conservatives today feel like. They see you pushing for something so vile and repulsive and contrary to the truth, the status quo, and want you to stop at once. So what I'm trying to say is, take your own criticisms with a pinch of salt. Just because Jesus was a progressive in his time doesn't mean the default mode of Christians is to be progressive and constantly push boundaries. Have some humility to recognize that the very dead wood that you think you are removing could be the roots that are sustaining the tree. And I use hypotheticals because nobody knows, because you're not true. So have some caution when approaching these things. Look, my intent of stating all this is to get you to see that we are more alike than not, that we need each other. The reason why both sides, the conservatives and the progressives, are divided is because no one knows the difference between what is true and what we think is true. This central point of division is exactly why progressives and conservatives need each other. They're needed so that we can slowly stumble back and forth towards the truth. They're needed because we don't know which of our existing concepts are right and which are wrong. This struggle extends not only to social issues, but to everything that concerns biblical truth. Things like our current understanding of the gospel, what we include in our biblical canon, our definition of what is sinful, our identification of false teachers, or our interpretation of end times prophecy, or what is glorifying worship and traditions. All of these things must be handled with care by both sides of the argument. Without progressives, we'll cling on to things that are false and outdated, and soon fall to tyranny. Without conservatives, we'll quickly degenerate into chaos and instability because everything keeps getting uprooted and changed. Conservatives keep progressives in check, and progressives keep conservatives in check. That's why we need each other. So at the end of the day, I made this video to say that we need to stop hating the opponent, right? Wrestle with what they have to say, not the side that they are on.